everybody. Episode 2 of the Creating Kings podcast, and today's a special one because we have the creators of KGK with us today. We got Artifact in the house today, along with Bones, who is here returning again with us today. How you guys doing today? This episode's really going to be dedicated to just letting these guys, basically we're going to take a deep dive and take a look at how this all started, how it became. Like, me and Dukey, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So
Facts. That's facts.
these are the guys who really help make all this stuff possible. So we're just gonna start off with the basics. If you guys want to take us back to day one and how all this stuff started.
Yeesh.
Oh boy, Josh, do you want to kick it off? Or do you want me to kind of lay the foundation?
You can lead it out, and I guess I'll fill in where I see some parts until.
Sweet. Cool, man. Yeah. So, man, this was like around 2017. Coincidentally enough, Fortnite was it was like the biggest thing. You had MLB players playing it. You had basically everyone playing this new phenomenon, this new battle royale, free to play game, and we were no different. Me, my cousin Pete, now he's on the team, Josh, and my little brother Connor. We would be playing this game all the time, and it was really Josh that kind of ratcheted up. He started networking with all these people. First of all, Fortnite as a battle royale type game is awesome. I mean, the way that you can just like link up with anybody, and you're seamlessly connected to all these random players from all these different countries, and I mean, sometimes the ping kind of gets you, but for the most part, it's just a really great experience. So we had people. So Josh was just we would be on, and I mean, dubs were everything to the man. So and to us too. But we'd just join up, and we'd have all these players. So what was it? I think November of 2018. I said to myself, I have a business background. I went to school for business. I said to myself, why don't we? We're leaving money on the table right now. Josh is already basically running an esports scene. He just hadn't basically formalized it per se. And so we went to his place. He just got married. He just bought a brand new house, and we were going there for a housewarming party. It was in right before Christmas, right after Thanksgiving, and I had been coordinating with my cousin Pete and my brother.
I had no idea.
No idea at all. So I had been on the back end. I contacted our first sponsor, Custom Esports, and I was like, we got to get some of the most premium jerseys you guys can put together. And they did. They were awesome. They made a great design for us. They got our gamer tags on the back.
There.
Yeah, there it is. Right in the back. Yeah.
Gee.
Gonna be
Exactly.
A classic one day.
Oh yeah, thing's gonna be worth a lot of money. Mark my words. So I had made us email addresses. I bought the URLs, built a website, put all the I got the hashtags and all that stuff situated, and made the social media accounts, and started kind of building a base there. But it was tough because Josh is super involved in the scene, and he's always on Twitter, and he's networking with everybody all the time. So it was kind of tough to let someone that close to you that you play with all the time have no idea what's going on. Because I mean, you guys, I don't know anything about algorithms, but like, there's got to be some reason why it's like, oh, because you follow this person, we recommend you also follow this person.
It was crazy. I knew nothing. I was super surprised. It was a crazy feeling because I mean, I'm not a big surprise person, and this was just like overwhelming. I didn't even know what to do. Like I thought it was a joke. I was like, wait, what? Like there's no way this is happening. No idea. All of a sudden, these guys take off their shirts that they had on, and they had the jerseys underneath, and that was just it. I was
Oh.
like, no fucking way.
Yeah. So we're at his place, and he's like, "Oh, you didn't have to get me a housewarming present." I'm like, "Nah, you really should open it right now."
I was like, I don't know. We'll see.
opens it up, and
it,
there's the jersey that you see right in back of him. And then
it
me
was
and Connor
crazy.
take off all our shirts, and now boom, we're all wearing the same jerseys. And
That's
underneath
crazy.
it was the username and passwords to all of the accounts that we had made, and
Oh my
just like
god, it
that.
was nuts.
So why did you guys decide on King's Grant Killers as the name?
Yeah, so basically that's my road, the street that I grew up on, was Kings Grant Road. And basically like
Oh,
back in the day, I mean we'd be having little LAN parties, we'd be having people over. I mean, no, like I started like I mean, I've been playing freaking I started on GoldenEye like 007 back in the day, you know what I mean, Duck Hunter, like I'm I've been around. So like for me, it really, really, really got going in I want to say like 2007, 2008, and that's when like I want Modern Warfare 2 was big, and like that was like it big around there. So I didn't even actually, I legit didn't even play for a while, almost up until like 2014, 2015 again. Like took a little bit of time off and whatnot, and then I got serious. And then these guys, it was funny because I was on Battlefield for a while too, like. I like that game. Battlefield's a pretty fun game, and you know, grinding Battlefield and Battlefield like 4, like OG status, and basically
Did you
like
ever go to CS:GO, Josh?
no, I never played any CS:GO.
Yeah.
No, 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 nothing like that. But no, just Battlefield, COD, and then Fortnite, obviously, and then back to COD. So it's been fun. Like realistically, it's been it's I only see us like I said, like I mean it's just more than the video games for me. It's not just like, hey, let's play video games. There's so much stuff that like I have like I want to do with this company, you know what I mean? So like everybody has dreams, but realistically like putting those dreams and making them a reality is like the hardest step. And I think that Sean, I mean, wouldn't be here without him, right? So like I think in that sense, that was the first step. I think that was the first step that we needed. Hey, listen, building a business is a wild challenge, right? So basically, you it's a grind.
It's just so
I
much work. Like you don't really expect
You
it
have
because like
no idea.
making a Gmail is easy, is super easy. And then you just buy you're like, oh, what do we call it? Well, he had this like it was the place that we all played video games at when we were kids,
Yeah, the
Kings River
KGK.
Road.
Yep.
Yeah, and so you know what? It was like the name kind of fell into our laps, and but then it's like, all right, now you've now you have all the handles, you have the jerseys. Now it's like, well, what do you want this business to be about? Is it just you and your
Yeah.
buddies logging on to play Fortnite, or is this a like an org that has a bunch of different games that you play? Is there a content creation component that you want to also include? And it just kind of expands. So yeah, like kind of from the start, we just went heavy into Fortnite. We one of who the previous captain of our Fortnite team, David, KGK DR Lone 4K. He would do 1v1s versus some of the top guys. Josh
Yeah, that
can
kid was
talk more
so
about
cracked.
this.
That kid was so
And you
cracked.
just like beat them. These are pros
Yeah.
that have signed contracts of 6-figure salaries,
Yeah, that kid was
and he
just
would beat them all the time. And like who's it, Clicks or who was one that
Dude, I
I
mean,
thought he
there's
was
so many
one v
different
one
people that
somebody.
we played. Like, I mean, there's so many. I mean, like, dude, when we played FNCS, I mean, like, realistically, like, we played everybody. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean, like, Aiden, like, has people that he's got like clipped and stuff. But I mean, on our Instagram, there's people there that clipped are on there. There's people on there.
hey.
But
yeah.
So
yeah, we
are
like, yeah, go ahead, Rhonda. I mean,
oh, is it?
you're
Uh,
good.
so are any of the original like members still on the team, or did some of them leave?
I mean, they're kind of like they're here in spirit. My brother he went back to college and he was on the COD team just when we were just getting off the ground. I mean, we didn't really know how which direction we went. So Fortnite started to, as you know, to kind of wind down in popularity with the release of season 2, and then the CDL became massive. And as far as like esports goes, it's the number. It's what is it? Dota and Call of Duty are the two biggest games in esports. I think at least that was in 2018. I haven't looked since, but is it like America is was ranked #2 in the entire world for esports, and it was just because of Call of Duty, the biggest game
Yeah.
that they all love. And so we realized we had to make a major move into that. But my brother, like, he was like, dude, like, we were playing Fortnite, it was a ton of fun, but like then we started doing like all these tournaments, Esports Miami, and with the Global Esports League and ALG. We didn't even register yet, but we already started doing these tournaments, and we kind of realized quickly we're gonna need a lot of work if we want to do a COD team. Because Fortnite, we kind of already had a structured team, and it was too bad because the comp side of Fortnite was really winding down, and that was our strongest suit. And so we were like, oh, all right, well, let's just get as many teams as we can under our belt, because, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty easy to make an Instagram account or another group me. And so we were like, all right, let's go into Rocket League. Let's go into Valorant. Let's go into Rogue Company. And we were just like, yeah, why not? If people want to join KGK and they're good at this game, why not expand into those markets? Turned out that that wasn't the best move. I mean, like any business, you go through some growing pains, but we thought that would have been the right move. It turns out it kind of made the brand a little saturated, and people weren't really sure what KGK was. So you live and you learn. But since
this is
then,
growing pain for I mean, this is everything that here. I mean, this is not something that I mean, esports is a new industry coming up, right? Esports has been around, but like in the public, right? Like in having that different look of what esports is I think is the biggest. I think that's the biggest look that we're trying to get now. I think that's where we realize like being more in the community, having a location. So like those are things, like I said, I think we talked a little about on the last podcast in regards to getting a land center, basically our headquarters, in using that as a piece in the community to really get out into. I mean, the biggest thing for me, I always tell these guys, like I always preach it about getting it more in the schools, right? Like our esports in the colleges, esports in the high schools. I'm a huge advocate on that, right? So like for me, I mean, if that was available, that would have been a whole different thing, right? Like I imagine for anybody growing up in this day and age, right? Like esports is huge, right? Everybody wants to be video gaming, right? But why not get paid and whatnot? Why not make a living off it, right? And being able
and
to
just to piggyback on Josh's point, it really is important because like you can be really good at these sports, whether you just practice all the time or you have the money to hire a personal trainer, or you got the facilities at your building or whatever, or you got your own equipment back at home. There's a lot of moving parts, and some sports are more expensive than others. But as far as esports goes, it's without a doubt, in my mind, one of the most level playing fields you can really have.
yeah.
All you really need is like an internet connection, the console, and a TV, and then you're basically playing the exact same game that everyone else is playing.
Yeah.
And obviously there's going to be cheating and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, if everybody, no matter like where you come from or what you grew up with or your economic standing or anything, if everybody's equal when you put on the headset, that's kind of the real beauty of esports. And
Have a couple chows sorting out some schoolyard bullies, right?
yeah.
Yeah. No, for real though. Like, I mean, I just say like if it's in the high schools and whatnot, I think it's going to be able to open the door for a lot more people. And people maybe they're not into sports or whatnot. Maybe they're not into football. You know, maybe they're not into whatever it may be that the high school offers at that time, right? So this is something. I mean, like I said, I've been really proactive about this for the past 3-4 years, giving that opportunity, right, and making it to be where I know some colleges do it. I know some high schools do it. I see it. Like I see it. Some people are big into that. Some places are big, but like where, like, you know what I mean? Like I want to be able to like one day obviously be like, oh, you know what I mean? Esports just another name for just another name in the daily word use, right? So
Yeah, I feel like
like I
it gives
said,
a
I
good
have a lot.
outlet too for like people, because I
Yeah,
know
huge.
when I like when we first went to college, like me and Dukey went to the same college straight out of high school.
Hmm.
And I played sports my whole life, but I obviously
Yeah.
didn't get scholarshiped or get to play a sport in college. So it's like having that. If it was there, it would have been something like I love competing. I could
That's
have
what I'm
done that, and it
saying.
would have given
Right.
people like athletes who may not, whether it's injuries or money or they don't get a scholarship or they don't make a team in college, they have that second outlet. Same with high school. You don't make a team, you have
Yeah.
like, okay, let me go try and get into esports. It'll let me compete, and I'll have that outlet to have my competitive spirit shine. But things like, I mean, it is getting there because where we went, they didn't have esports was unheard of there. And then as soon as we left, they started a team and they have multiple esports teams at the college that we were at for like right
Yeah.
after we left. So it's getting there. Still
I
has a
think there's
ways to
would
like
have,
go.
he
two
would
of
have,
them. I think
he would
there's
have.
like I think there's one or two of them just in the city where I live. That's just what I know. But like, I mean, 100%, 100%. Like, I mean, it's super clear where a lot of this new generation is going. You know what I mean? Like, obviously with the restrictions and whatnot, I think it opens the door to keep people's minds sharp because I mean that's another huge like a huge thing like that I look at is for me the how people look at video games too. Yeah, I mean like realistically there is a difference between being lazy and sitting on a video game when you're supposed to do in schoolwork or whatnot. Like I get that, but like if somebody's good at video games and they're like they know that they want to do that and like they know like realistically like I feel like there has to be that support. But I mean realistically a lot of parents don't look at video games as I know realistically I know growing up my parents didn't. I mean they probably still don't. But like realistically like I think the misconception around that is they don't even see the benefits, right? So people really don't see the benefits of keeping the mind sharp, realistically keeping your brain, which is the most important, I mean, most important thing in your body. I mean, besides your heart, maybe, but I mean, obviously, a sharp mind is going to definitely be better than somebody that is getting hit in the head with a football helmet, and that's coming from
Yeah.
somebody that played football their whole life. You know what I mean? Hockey, football. I played sports my whole life too. So like for me, this was a big like I don't know something that I look at as we gotta start somewhere,
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, if you told me 5 years ago that there was going to be coaches for video games, I would have told you you're crazy. I mean,
Crazy.
like back in the day, I thought of video games like almost campaigns, like the Halo campaigns or any of these like campaign types games where you're just like immersed in a storyline. Um, and obviously RuneScape comes out or World of Warcraft, these type games come out. Next thing you know, you're communicating with other humans in real time, and I think that was so recent that our parents just don't like. They think, oh, who like the internet cafes and like these
Yeah.
non-social type events where you're basically just like locked into a Diablo or something. Or not, that's
Yeah. Doom. I think it was
yeah,
Doom, right? Something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Craziness.
There's like, why don't you go out and make friends? And before you really couldn't. I mean, you could go to the internet cafes in the '80s, but like it was really until like the Xbox came out and you were kind of playing single player games that didn't have. I mean, Xbox Live was created in like the 2000s, right?
Yeah.
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 So like, and those lobbies were brutal.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, it's
Okay.
like there's structure. There's like, hey, you're not allowed to like you got to keep it polite, keep it gentlemanly. We have like an organization to represent.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's really different than it was in the
100%.
past.
Yes. I got a couple. So before we go like towards the future stuff, what
Yeah,
is
of
what is
course.
your guys' origin? Like, how did you guys meet and come about?
You guys ready for this?
Ooh. Ooh.
So Sean and I are actually we're cousins. So
Really?
yep,
Ah.
we are blood cousins. Our mothers
We
are
don't look identical.
our mothers are sisters. Yep. But yeah, blood cousins and
Yeah,
raised together our whole lives.
yeah.
Played
Our
started
sides of
playing
the family were
Halo.
like, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, dude, that was awesome. We would hang out like all the time. Like for every single major holiday, it would always be. And my mom's side of the family, they were spread out all over the country,
Yeah,
all
big
over the
family.
country. So it's great that they all maintained such a tight knit bond, and they're such good people. I mean, like they're just like the type of people that just don't have a mean bone in their body, just really like just good people. And I think a lot of it is because of their southern origins, maybe. but no. So we're cousins. I lived kind of 45 minutes, probably an hour from him. But, when we first got Halo, the very first Master Chief, we we would just always play that whenever we would come together, and we just love video games. I mean, Josh was always older. Josh was like the oldest, so it was kind of. I mean, he was going through different stuff in his life than I was going through because we were teenagers. You know what I mean? We were kids. And but like one thing that we could always bond on is Halo. And right away it's like, oh, what do I have in common with Josh? Well, we both like Halo. And so in a way, it kind of
that was GoldenEye, like freaking.
Oh my god, dude!
GoldenEye was nuts, dude. And then like we used to play a lot of NFL Street. I think back. I don't know which one was that. We used to like. Yeah, I think it was NFL Blitz, maybe actually. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, so those are always the best, the family gatherings, getting games on. Me and my family were the same way. 2K and all the old like Street Madden games, all that stuff. It was fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. We have obviously. I mean, Connor's on the team and whatnot. I have a brother too, so we always used to. He was big into COD. He's a big. I mean, not anymore, but he was. That's where like we really used to like. Back in the day, that's where we used to like. That's where stuff used to get crazy on Modern Warfare too. We used to all be up there, just partying up on the LAN.
Dude, we're not going to talk about airsoft. Oh my goodness,
God, that stuff is crazy. Oh my god, crazy!
There's a period of time where we went
try to do some trick shocks with the airsoft or something.
Oh my god, we used to have some crazy times.
Man, those guns are sick. I can't imagine like if we could never ever do that ever again.
Not today.
It would be like
I kind of hear this now.
What like people in my neighborhood would all have airsoft guns, and it'd be like, oh, let's do like this half of the neighborhood take this half of the neighborhood. Literally, and you're just running through people's backyards with machine guns.
Just a turf war going on in the neighborhood.
20 kids.
It was awesome.
So I mean, if y'all repping Kings Grant like that, I mean, may as well.
Everybody knows KGK, dude, and from around, like you don't understand, like you know, like it was like my road, like everybody knew where, like obviously, like we lived and whatnot, and like so everybody know like what Kings Grant was. Like, it's had to be done. The KGK.
So you guys said you started KGK what 2018, 17?
2017.
17. So we're what 2021. So honestly, like it came a long way already. But in terms of looking forward, you have like the staples of like organizations like Optic, for instance, with Hex, who's done everything the right way in terms of getting not only the word out just on the esports side of sides, but people who don't even necessarily know competitive gaming are involved in them, and they have that whole situation set up. So, like, what is some of the goals you have looking for just throughout the rest of this year? Then, where do you guys see yourself in like 5 years with this company?
Yeah, so I'll go first. So, like, some of my biggest things is obviously getting a place to call home. Right, so I want to be able to have an established location, right, where we can have teams come in if they have to, a private place, where we can either set up LAN tournaments or whatnot. I got some ideas put away in and around that. That's actually being worked on literally right now. So like I don't want to share too much information on that side, but like realistically, I'm hoping to have like I said, I mean, due to COVID, I mean, we were hoping to do this in 2 years ago. So we're getting the ball rolling again. A lot of stuff has to happen. A lot of BS, we'll say, right? A lot of jumping through hoops. But realistically, by the end of the year, I would like to have a place picked out, if not sooner. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. But obviously we would that's the biggest thing for me, like that, having a place, having the establishment, but realistically that's where I see getting set up. That's my biggest
I mean so there's a bunch of directions that we can go. I mean, I think that one of the ways that we're shifting, I mean, just look at the creation of this podcast. And then the KGK stream days, and I think the shift towards content creation and the emphasis on it, I think, is where the most of our attention needs to be focused. In addition to the Call of Duty comp team, so the Call of Duty comp team, that's never going away. That's always going to be, the um, the thing in the spotlight that we're always working for, always working towards, always trying to be better and better. But the I think content creation side of it is where I think the most amount of attraction comes in the esports space, at least currently. Like you look at companies like 100 Thieves, where they are the content masters, at least in my opinion. And just kind of emphasizing that a little more. I mean, we got a huge team. We have almost 40 people on this team. I mean, 2 rosters in comp, and then the rest are all content creators. And they're all streaming. They're all doing great stuff on the side. But kind of linking them up and under one, great platform which we already have to just push out. I mean, they're already hilarious people. They wouldn't have gotten on this team unless they were. They're hilarious. They put out great stuff. And it's kind of just like a no-brainer move. Everybody's been basically begging to do it, and we'd kind of been so focused with the restructuring of, all right, we're no longer the Rocket League team. We are strictly Call of Duty. We're gonna dabble in Fortnite, leave it on the back burner in case the game comes back and it's awesome again. But this is a COD team for the most part, and a content creation organization.
Yeah, and like just to go off, Sean, just one thing, just really to emphasize on is like the content creation is we're actually going to do something that, I mean, not saying it's not being done or whatnot, but like for where we are in the amateur side of the COD scene and whatnot, we're actually going to, as you can see, have different. We're going to be doing a full media division. So like what that's going to entail is obviously we have people on, I mean, I'm not sure, I don't know, I mean, the biggest thing is we have people that are going to be doing interviews, that are going to be live casting games, like all within KGK. So like one of the things that I want to like really look at is like, hey, like, oh, we're playing KGK, like they people should already expect like, oh, it's going to be casted no matter what at any level, right? Because that's how we want to grow, right? That's how we're looking to expand our brand.
And the big thing is, if we're hosting these LAN tournaments, one of the biggest concerns that we're seeing it. We haven't done one yet, obviously, but we see these I mean, you guys know, you guys playing them. There's just so many cheaters, and the rules are always being broken. And if you aren't like on top of, oh, did you document everything? Do you have the proof? It's like, yeah, I have like just enough to show you I'm not lying, which we never are. But it's always like, it's tough. So the LAN center, being at the physical place, I think that's, now that COVID's over, is the way that everything's going to start shifting towards. So we're trying to kind of be ahead of that ball, so that when we do play in these tournaments, it's guaranteed that there's going to be no cheating. There's going to be none of this stuff that we've kind of been exposed to during the year and a half
field for everybody. Right.
Yeah, especially with the media. Like, it's also cool because on that media side, people mixing content creation with the teams, people get an inside look at things. They'll get like that behind the scenes. They'll feel like they're behind the scenes. They're seeing things that no one normally sees, and they'll get to see interviews talking to people that they would never normally get to talk to. So it just feels like having that ability to bring content creation, and another thing I'm happy about the podcast too is I'll definitely be able to get content creators on this, and because there's kind of that split between the comp team, because they're always grinding doing their thing, and content creators who are always grinding doing their thing and streaming, but being able to bring people together and like have those two things, and it's just seen as one big all under one roof kind of a thing, as people see that and they're like, wow, they do everything and I can see it all, and they all interact with each other. Just a cool aspect to all of that.
Completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. You're a genius, RonDo.
I think it's the media piece. I think is like huge. I love that piece just because, like, like in an age where you always have to be innovating, right? You always got to be expanding, and you always got to be trying something new, right? Because I mean that's the only way people learn is by trying things new. And if people like it, it's going to be success. If not, it's a learning lesson, right? So I look at it
Yeah, I
as,
heard, I heard from one of these. I heard from one of these. It was one of these. I don't know if it was Vice News or if it was. It was one of these massive media companies. They were doing. Oh, it was. I think it was Esports Explained. Do you watch those explained things on Netflix?
Yeah.
They're cool. But there was one scene at the they were saying why is it that you think esports is better than like the NFL or the NBA or is it same or different? And this one guy that they were interviewing was just like, well, after a game, name a sport, football, basketball, anything. They go up to the cameras, they go into the press room. They don't want to be there. They have these targeted questions are being thrown at them and they say, oh yeah, the game, everyone tried their hardest, everyone put on a great show. We're just gonna circle back, and be ready for the next team next week. And it's just like these filler answers because they don't really want to talk to them. But esports, after an esports tournament, those same players that were just in front of the camera, they get back on the camera for the next 3 hours, and they tell you about every single play they missed, every single thing that they oversaw, or maybe things that they did really well, and they basically let you into their lives. What were they thinking and every move that they made, and then their fans are engaging with them the entire time. Like it's not a reporter from a major media outlet. It's you. It's the fan.
Yeah.
And you can just talk right to this guy. And there isn't a sport that exists on this earth that's like that, except for
yeah,
esports.
I mean, not like that, not at that level to where, where we're, like I said, being able to have that in-depth view of what these players go through. I don't think I think a lot of people like don't realize that the impact it actually does have on, like, if you're grinding sometimes, like truthfully, it can get stressful. It can get your mental. You gotta mentally prepare. Sometimes these tournaments can be 8, 10, 12, 15 hours long, right? So
Yeah.
you never know what can happen, right? So the mental piece is a huge, huge aspect of it too. And I don't think it's talked about as much as it should be, because I think a lot of people get burnt out. And really because there's grinding, and a lot of people, a lot of these younger esports players that are coming up, or a lot of these players that are in orgs, some might not be getting incentivized, or some might not being able to reap the benefits of an org or whatnot. So I think that's like, so like, why would you play? What do you have to
Yeah.
play for? And you're burning yourself out. So like, I look at it as, making sure like the mental focus is huge too, because that impact it has is big.
All right. I
So
want to go ahead,
oh,
Dukey.
I was gonna say, speaking about like mental mentality, my bad. Has there ever been like a moment in KGK history where you guys like had like the mentality or the feelings that were this wasn't gonna work, or you wanted to give up, or just
Oh
anything
my
else like that?
God, dude. Every all the time. So like, you think about it, like when I think our first year in, what was it, ALG, Sean? I think it was our first year. It was a
That was
nightmare.
really where that's when things we really did think about like
Yeah, we were like, yo, maybe this wasn't the right choice,
we
or
rose
maybe
really
this
we rose
wasn't
really
it.
quickly because of Fortnite,
Yeah.
and it was great. And we picked up a ton of sponsors. We love our sponsors. They're super supportive, and we were riding high on cloud nine. Our team was small. Our team was lean.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of crack players that were on all the time. Our sponsors loved us. They were streaming, and then all of a sudden the game changed. No, literally, like Fortnite literally changed,
Oh,
and next thing you know, we had to
yeah.
shift to COD, and we were like,
Yeah.
no problem. Well, how hard could it be to find some
Well,
COD players?
like realistically,
And it's hard.
truthfully, it was a mess. Like for me, like I lived and breathed Fortnite. Like, you don't understand. Like, I probably had 1,500 hours on that game, right? And grinded, right? 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night sometimes, like straight through. And to see where the state is now, it upset me, like, for real. Like, but like, I stayed through that game when that game was in really, really bad places, right? Like, it was down, it was in places I would just keep grinding. All right, yo, I'm gonna keep going, keep going, keep going, right? Like, it got to the point where it just wasn't fun for me anymore. It just
Hmm.
wasn't
Yeah.
the it became more of a like, almost like a burden to play. Like, not even like, I go back and play like here and there. It's not even like, for me, like, it's not about that right now. It's not about me grinding about like Fortnite or whatnot. Like, like I said, I have a lot of things going on. So, but like, on that, like, that was a point, I think, for me, like when, you know, I was grinding, like me and my dual partner. I mean, we were, I mean, we were on it all day, every day. You know what I mean? And to be taken, like, I shouldn't say taken. I mean, I took myself out of it, but like, it was a choice that I made. But you know, unfortunately, like things have to be done. Like, it just wasn't fun for me anymore. It just wasn't the right game. And you know,
I mean, that was also like, and then during that time, I was basically trying to put together this COD team because I saw the way that the market was moving, and I saw the way that the popularity was driving this Call of Duty, and Warzone was like a brand new thing, trying to compete with Fortnite's battle royale, and so we were putting these teams together, just finding people on Twitter, finding people through our sponsors, and there was just a lot of people that were, you know, either too toxic or they just weren't really at that comp level, or you know, they were in it for the wrong reasons, or, you know, not good team players.
you know, just another thing too, we didn't have the, like, honestly, like when we were first starting out, like one thing that like we like one thing that like, you know, that we took back, and one thing that I really like always say is, you know, just my players always are going to be like, you know, how they're feeling, and you know, some people might not like the way we do it this way or like that, but like that feedback is like what I look for, right? And so I can say, hey, you know, the next time we do it something, maybe we're not going to do it this way, or maybe we're going to try something different to see if it's going to work this way, right? So for me, like it's, I don't know, man. It's a crazy grind. Like people don't realize of the impact. Um, some of the like people don't realize that there's some people have lives outside of it. So like I think just
Yeah.
really respecting everybody's. Um,
Also, there was like a massive so once Fortnite became popular, next thing you know, all of these like micro leagues started springing up everywhere.
yeah,
And it's just like, oh, $25,000 tournament this weekend, $100 entry fee. So I talked to the boys and I'm like, boys, 25 G's. You're some of the best players I've ever seen. You guys are gonna. This is a no brainer. Second place is like 7 grand. Like, this is a no brainer move. And so you would get into these tournaments, and mind you, the company would then have to pay $100 to enter into that tournament.
Yeah.
And they're doing that if these tournaments are like every weekend or twice a weekend. There's a there's a amount of, I mean, our sponsors are amazing, but like if you're entering in these tournaments and there's 0 victories, like for example that story that I just the one that I just the example I just gave, the $25,000 tournament, we came in 138th place.
Jeez.
And now, mind you, the winner of that tournament, each person on the team had like 75 kills a game.
that was
Like,
a crazy kill race.
and there was no
a kill
rules, no
race. It was
regulation. You
weird.
could use aimbot, you could use anything that you wanted, and
Yeah.
people are going to be like, "Oh, they're cheating," and they'd be like, "Prove it," and you'd be like, "Oh, well, I can't."
Weird stuff.
So you basically just like were throwing your money away, and then like eventually CDL leagues started to come up, and things like ALG and with the global esports, and then esports Miami, and these are more reputable ones that have a big team and a ton of rules. And, they just require you to be have a video of
structure.
yourself, and yeah, a lot of structure. And they'd be way cheaper too. So that ended up being the direction that we would take. But I mean, you guys know from playing that it's never 100%. Stuff gets through the cracks.
Just adding on that structuring before, like that's what I was going and saying. Just saying before, when we were like our first year, we didn't have what we have in place now, right? Like we didn't have a coach, right? Smurf has like been night and day. Smurf has helped us out. I mean, praise the coach, right? Like the coach is just on another level,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Hopefully
Gotta
he's
love
okay.
Smurf.
Hopefully he's okay. We pray for Smurf. Hopefully he's recovering in Hawaii nicely. But realistically, I think having that there, and then having just the people that have been there helping out in the areas that we really needed it. I think that was the biggest thing, was getting that structure, having a set schedule, having a routine in place, and having that stuff so people knew what was going on. And that, I think obviously you can see the difference from last year to obviously now. Where we are now.
Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah,
hardest
like-
part. Yeah, like me and Dukey, like when we joined in early Cold War to this org
Yeah, of
as
course.
players,
Mhm.
but when we look back at like the MW season, it wasn't great. Like we went back and watched them and stuff, but just like that difference, and it's the hardest thing too in COD, which like it's impressive that KGK's been able to do what they've done in a year, because not only is finding players that are committed to stay hard, especially nowadays with the CDL, people want instant success and want to get to the league. We talked about that last week, but it's like being able to find a coach that's actually reputable is hard. We've been there. Like finding players is hard. Last year in MW when we first got into comp, we tried just starting up our own little team to play in like comp stuff, but it's just like finding that kind of stuff is hard. So being able to put those pieces together, it's impressive like where we are at this point, that we're winning what we're winning. Like we still have a ways to go, but that we're still seeing that much of a change between last year and this year, and the fact that you're able to find good players, a great coach, like it's hard, but they've been making it happen.
It's funny because for the past couple, like 2 months, I've been dicking around with you guys and Ace and playing
Yeah.
with you guys sometimes and whatnot. And I ain't the best, and I'm not saying I am, but one thing that I found is it's not just about being the best here, right? So it's not just about one of the reasons why like we find the people that want to stay here. One thing that we see is we give them a chance to show why they should be here. Right? It's not just about like, oh, I'm the best person, put me in, right? So like, if you want that, I'm sure there's plenty other teams there that will, but we want other things, right? We want other qualities. We want other people. We want people that bring, I'm saying, success to themselves, because this is, ultimately my biggest goal and what I strive for here is seeing you succeed, right? So your success is my success. If you're going to be out there doing things that you enjoy, that's exactly what I want to see, right? So I get it a lot of times. People will be like, oh well, like, oh, can we just buy in or something? Like, can we just get in? Like, no, like, unfortunately, that's not how things are done here. Just because like there's so many different opportunities. Like I said, we have a coaching staff, we have a media content division, we have graphics design teams, we have multiple different roles within the org. So like it's not just about when we look at bringing people on, we look at, hey, we might ask you, listen, hey, if something was to happen, there's a reason why we're bringing you in. What else do you like to do? It's not just, oh, you play COD, great. Maybe this person's actually better at something in something else than they do that might be successful for us. You know what I mean? Like, you just never know. So like I really think like giving people that opportunity in really just like, helping people find what they're good at. That's realistically it. You know what I
I'm
mean?
a prime example of that. I was a comp player, but this past like month and this past 2 months have been chaotic for me. Like I just haven't had the time, and when it came down to like this big roster cuts, it was I moved over to this, and now we have a podcast we can do and do that kind of media
Oh,
stuff that I'm able to do because I can put the time into this, where now I still wouldn't have the time to maybe grind for 4 hours a day for the competitive side of things right now. So it's just a blessing to be able to have that opportunity. Like you do come in here as a player, and if I didn't have like another interest or another skill set, like I would just be done. Like I would just stop playing. I wouldn't be doing anything. But now it's like,
right.
oh, I didn't have the time to succeed or be the teammate that I could for them, but now I can be something else for the organization and help everyone else out. So
Yeah, it's
I'm an
huge.
example of that as itself. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back. I just want to let you guys have a moment to talk about a sponsor of the week. You guys want to
Yeah,
take that one
certainly.
over?
Certainly. Our sponsor of the week this week is going to be our AIM controller US partner, our controller partner. Basically, if you need a new
Controllers.
PS5, PS4, Xbox, Xbox Ones, I think they got everything under the sun over there. Make sure to use KGK all day at checkout, and that's $70 off orders over $225.
Oh my
Again,
god.
AIM controllers US. Yeah, realistically, I don't know if anybody's gone and looked at a controller lately, but one of the, like a custom, like just a regular Elite 2 paddles underneath and whatnot, $200,
You want your own
$220, right?
graphics on it. You want your
Oh
own
my
buttons
God.
on it. You want
Everybody's
anything
getting
you
custom
want. They,
stuff
they can take care of this
nowadays,
thing for
right?
you.
They can put any picture you want. You want anything you want, your picture, your dog on there, whatever you want. They put it on there.
I was like,
But yeah,
controllers are
definitely
expensive, so you might as well use
sorry,
this
yeah, right.
code. Get that money
Yeah,
off.
definitely. It's huge.
Facts. So, are we done with the
Yeah, we're
commercial?
done. We're done. You reel it back.
Okay.
We can reel it back in now. Go ahead.
So, Now, since you guys are older, obviously, KGK's been like alive and well for 4 years. How was that support? Like you said that, like Bones, that you didn't really have a lot of support from your parents, like for video games and that stuff like that because they didn't really see the value in that.
Right.
But do you like have like support from like your family now, friends? Obviously, your cousin supports you.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I mean, of course, like my parents support me and whatnot in
Yeah.
regards to it. You know what I mean? They think like obviously I could be putting my time elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like elsewhere,
Mhm.
but like this is what I do. You know, I mean, this is what I want to do. This is what I love. This is something that I've been good at since I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like I've been playing video games forever. So realistically, for me, I mean, yeah, I have the support now. I mean, realistically, my wife supports me dearly on the subject. So that's all the support I need. Obviously, Sean, I need his support too because he's like my
Good
he's
to
like
feel
my
valued
leg
there,
over
Josh.
there. Yeah,
What about
my
you,
crutch.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, so at the beginning, yeah, I mean, the spotlight was primarily on Josh. I mean, he was basically the face of the company for the majority of the time. A little bit because, well, I mean, he was the one doing all the recruiting. He had everyone knew KGK is Josh. He's the one you're going to play with on the Fortnite team. He's going to try you out for tryouts. So like I did like the business deals on that with like the
Yeah,
sponsors and
Sean
everything. But I
handles
mean,
all the business side of things.
it wasn't really I didn't have as much of an involvement in like podcast stuff, streaming. So it was kind of easy for me to kind of skirt by almost unnoticed until obviously we started doing this stuff. The perception, I think, changed when the perception of esports changed. Anyone that I talk to now, like before, I wouldn't be going around showing off that I was a co-owner of an esports team, just because similar to the way that my parents didn't want me playing video games, the same way that I think people had this negative opinion of video games,
Mhm.
that my time could be spent better and more efficiently by doing something that isn't having fun. That work stereotypically is supposed to be something that you just have to do and just bite the bullet, get it done. You got to put money on the table, put bread on the table, whatever the old expression is. And if you're having fun doing things on the side, then there's no possible way that you could be making money off of that.
Yeah.
And until pretty much recently, when all these major organizations, and what I mean by major organizations, like the Patriots and like major NFL programs and football clubs and everything, they start buying esports teams, arenas. Yeah, Mark Cuban just bought an esports gambling company, and it's becoming almost common practice now that the writing's on the walls, that this is actually a really big industry. So now I'm telling everybody that I can that this is actually going to be an additional sport, a new sport,
Yeah.
just like football when it was basically made popular. This is going to be the exact same thing, and it's going to be different than what anyone has remembered video games to be in the past.
Yeah, I
So
think you're going to start seeing some leagues. I think you're going to start seeing more CDL leagues pop out. I think you're going to start seeing other
like
leagues
yeah, yeah,
branch
yeah.
out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
I
think you're
know
going
they
to start
have
seeing it
like college
opening
stuff
up.
too. Like there's like a
Mhm.
Oh yeah, for
couple like
sure.
of the big ones that have like a college, like a collegiate league that some of the
Yep.
schools will travel to. So I know it's
Yep.
there, but it'll like I'm sure in the next year or two it's gonna actually blow up towards like a solidified thing. I just know that with especially with Call of Duty, since they franchised the league, like the CDL, they really have a big hold on like what's professional. So as far as that's
Yep.
concerned, but definitely see like college and more amateur leagues
I think
popping
you're going
up.
to start seeing a lot more tournaments pop up to where to people are going to get noticed. I think you're
Yeah,
going to start seeing that
and then
massively.
another question. Now that I saw
Yeah.
CDL's now allowing fans at their next major event in August, with the blow like with COVID, I wouldn't say ending, but with it more vaccines coming out, people coming to an end and opening
Yeah,
things, and like
yeah.
lands opening up. Is that somewhere you guys see KGK like expanding to, like sending, the COD team to different LAN events that pop up?
Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah,
certainly,
that's absolutely
certainly.
in the deck of cards.
That's the plan. Like going
We
forward.
started with Esports Miami, Stay Chill. It was Stay Chill, and actually my brother, coincidentally enough, and we flew down from Boston, and Stay Chill drove down from I think Orlando, That was a big hike, and his mom was there, the whole thing. We competed in Esports Miami, and ended up winning the HyperX headset, which was one of the big prizes there. But I mean, that was a Warzone thing. And I'm interested in, you guys probably know more about this, definitely know more about this than I do. There was a major problem that happened there, and I don't know if it was because of like an Activision licensing thing or what, but every one of our accounts, when we tried to sign in, they basically like locked all of them. So no one could have a weapons class on the drop, and everyone basically had to use a guest account, all without their classes or anything, to all play one game of Warzone in one lobby. And that's basically how. And then at the end of that Warzone game, all right, bang, here's the teams that are left, and you would just go through the bracket that way,
Yeah,
as opposed to
I know sometimes it can be like that. Like people that do set up like LAN events, I know they do have to get certain rights to like play the game for if it's, especially if it's like a big event like media wise and money wise into it, they do have to get specific like I don't know what the word for it is, like rights to be able to do that in an event. So sometimes people cut corners, you might have that issue, but it
gotcha.
usually doesn't happen with the bigger LAN events.
Yeah. I mean, this one was pretty big. It was HyperX was there,
Yeah.
Monster Energy were there.
Might have been a weird thing that happened then, because I know Warzone still isn't. Warzone in Pacific is probably why, because Warzone doesn't really have LAN yet, because Warzone's a big battle royale. You can't really fit 150 people into an event space. It's kind of hard to like do an event or pick that kind of thing up. So I know they're trying to dabble in it, like they probably were. So it's probably a new thing. I know with like Pro 4v4, you don't really have that issue, just because they only let so many teams in one day.
Gotcha. Well, we kind of got sidetracked there, but yeah, to answer your question, we definitely want to start bringing
Yeah,
people
things
to
are gonna be going
different
on.
lands.
Yeah, because I know I
It's the
see a
way
lot
that
of
you have
LANs.
legit gaming.
Yeah, I see a
Like
lot of
The
how
LANs
issue right
popping up
now is
now.
just the summer break. We're just obviously with the holidays and whatnot, and we were just respecting people and their
Yeah.
time with the COVID. I know a lot of people were trapped for the last year and a half and whatnot. So like I think getting out the summer and getting off the video games for a little bit and getting back into it obviously is going to be big. I mean, for us, we start back up today, back in it. So the reset button's been hit, and these guys are going to be back in it full time coming up. We're looking for tournaments right now that are in our wheelhouse to say. But we're actually hoping to like basically have a land nearby. I want to say maybe a KGK sponsored land or something. There are some companies out there that we do know in regards. So
Can
Yeah,
my
it's a
parents
lot
go?
of yeah, it's a lot of looking in
yeah,
because I know they have that stuff like the few lands I see. I know people team up like orgs that I've seen will team up and actually host land at a space. Like they just kind of rent it out and they
Mhm.
do it that way. So I know they have like that opportunity available for teams to just host one.
well, that's another reason why we want a land center so we can just host these lands all the time. You know what I mean? Be
Yeah.
getting in tournaments every week.
Yeah, I know. So I know summer starts kicking up with a lot of especially because the season's coming to an end. So the summer they
Right.
start gearing up
Mm.
with. I know like July, August, and September is when you're gonna see a lot of tournaments and lands popping up.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts. That's exactly what's going on.
that's exciting stuff. We
Yeah, we're
no, it's
excited.
like I mean, this is kind of a PSA to anyone watching this podcast that might be a local team around the Boston, Massachusetts area, or just any team in general that is interested in partnering up. I know it's like for 2.5 hours at one of these land centers, it's something like 350 to $400. But for an individual player, it's $35. So it's really more economical for us all just to go in on it together and work together and just get it done.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's another one of those
I,
things like balancing out how that works. Like you do team up and then I know people implement like that cost of having a land center rented, they'll implement that in the team pass cost. Like I know team passes will be like 350 and it seems like a lot, but if you have a payout that's high, the rest of that money gets thrown towards the cost of that. Like there's a way to balance it out. I'm not
Oh
the
yeah,
business guy
certainly.
on that, but I know people do like balance that way out. So they're able to get that cost covered.
I was even thinking even like maybe even talking to local places, local businesses, that are
Yeah.
trying to get their name out there. You know what I mean? Places that even like online places and things like that we're looking to do. Set up your signs and whatnot. If we run these places out or whatnot, so that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that works out. But I mean, for the time being, we're just waiting for our move to get in one of these sooner than later.
Yeah, once we get when we get the it's all geography is also a major hurdle just because
Yeah,
a lot of you guys are
we're spread
all
through the
across
United
the
States.
country,
Yep.
from like California to Boston, so
Hawaii to Boston.
Hawaii to Boston, yeah, no kidding.
That's true.
So it's like, all right, well, where's the place that where are the places that are all kind of equidistant that would be, a place that maybe the starters could go to. Oh, but if only 2 starters can make it there, and then team 2's 2 starters, then next, are we ever going to have an in-person starters position that we're able to do like immediately where, where we don't have to. And maybe the move is just we just fly people there, Airbnbs, and then they just head out from there. I don't know. It really
a lot of
depends.
logistics behind it, definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, no, it's on our radar for sure. I mean, we just got to start finding where these places are, put them in the notebook, and find when they're hosting, big time events that we think are gonna be the most advantageous for the boys.
Yeah, just make them drive. They'll be all right.
I want to hear a little backstory real quick.
I think we should get a KGK tour bus. Just be
Oh,
touring around the
no.
United States, playing games, challenging people around the country.
What's your
Like,
question?
gonna 1v1 me right now and get a guy off the street.
Just pull over somebody on the street, bro. You won't want. Yeah, pick your favorite game. You won't 1v1 me, like.
What's your
Like
question?
So-
every game.
How did you guys run into State Chill? This is a story I want to hear.
Stay chills in
What
the
do you
chat
mean?
too.
I know.
So,
Because I remember seeing those old like MW videos and like you guys were playing like what is it, Ramaza or something like that, and like for the competitive, and someone was just sniping, doing 360s off like a building, and State Chill was the only one like getting kills, and I'm just like, what is going on?
yeah, he's a beast. So,
That's wild,
so our
man.
first, our second sponsor was Pyre. They do energy drinks, they do controllers, they do there's a bunch of stuff that they do. They supplements and they do clothing, and they're in a bunch of different consumables. And so we signed up with them, and what they do, which is awesome, is they have a Facebook group where it's basically like a networking center. And you have streamers from all over the world that go in there that are also sponsored by Pyre. So right away, you already have that thing in common. And so I just spent, weeks and weeks just going through the activity feed, and then would find a player. I would check out his content. I'd be like, all right, this guy seems like he's a good fit for the team. And then just send an invite that's, hey, we'd love to have you, try out with the boys. Or we're thinking about, this was like our second sponsor, so we were more along the lines of we're trying to build a COD roster. How would you like to be one of the early players in the formation of this roster? And a lot of people were like, it's not for me. Other people were just like, yeah, I'll do it. And then didn't end up working out. But this one guy, his gamer tag's 𝙃𝙃𝙨𝙯𝙯. He's in the U.S. military. He was he was one of the first signs.
Sean, let me cut you off right there. Guys, are we down? Is something going on with the?
Oh, he said it's
with the
back.
stream?
He said it's back.
Oh,
Hold on.
never mind.
Must have been a lag. I think there was like a lag or something going on.
It was a lag. Facts. It's all good.
All right. Yeah. Continue. They said we're back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're back to, all right.
So yeah, so this guy 𝙃𝙃𝙨𝙯𝙃, like he's in the military, was great at Call of Duty. And he accepted the offer to be part of the team. And he's just like, hey, I was previously on an esports team with my buddy Stay Chill, and I was like, oh no way, like, would you ever be considered in joining up with this new team KGK? And we were already kind of an established brand in Fortnite, but we had nothing really to write home about for Call of Duty yet. It was brand new. And he's like, yeah, like I went to high school with the guy. We were on our high school Call of Duty team. And next thing you know, he brings in Stay Chill, and we just start doing really well. And
This guy's hollering, he's great.
yeah,
Doing stage
Yeah,
things.
He's just
He's yelling in the mic.
yep. So
he's just yelling. It was.
So yeah, this team continued to grow, and back to that time, that question you asked me, what was one of the toughest times in starting this company? I mean, that one time block of time in the company's life during ALG, the very first time we had ever done it, was for sure it. It was brutal. So we didn't have a starting roster. We were just getting by with the amount of players just to show up at the thing, and so it was really frustrating on everybody, and we were basically cycling through new players all the time. And with the ALG had a rule: whoever is your starters, you can have 2 substitutes, and that is it. And that's going to be for the entire, like, what was it, 12 weeks, or it was a ton of time.
Yeah.
And that's not a lot of flexibility for a team that. So we just played Esports Miami, and that's one day. And ALG didn't advertise that it was anything more than a one-day tournament, and we were used to a one-day tournament, so that's what we did. Turns out we're in this thing for like 12 weeks, and we're like,
Yeah,
oh my
crazy.
God, we are screwed.
We were cycling people through. We're like, oh, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
So,
I basically
all
called
our lessons.
the owner of ALG, and I was like, listen, like, our team just can't pull this together. We don't have the players. We keep the money. We're not asking for a refund or anything. We just got to get out of here. It's over for us.
Yeah.
And right around that time, we were one of the stronger teams that we were facing, Dawn of Chaos, DOC. I believe they were the ones that approached 𝙃𝙤𝙨𝙨 and basically made him a great offer, and he ended up accepting that, and we wish him the best. But yeah, so 𝙃𝙃𝙨𝙨, he is the reason why we know Stay Chill.
So, being like obviously CEOs and like owners of this organization, what is the absolute hardest thing that you would tell somebody that is like the problem? Like, let me rephrase that. What's the hardest thing about being a CEO?
Probably wearing the different hats. I mean, you gotta wear every aspect of it, right? So, like,
Yeah,
the CEO is just a title, right? The CEO is just that. I mean, realistically, I'm just the owner, right? So,
the short answer is ideas. A successful company has a lot of people that have good ideas. I don't know if you guys follow the Apple TV series Mythic Quest, but there's a scene in that show. It's on season 2 right now. Highly recommended if you haven't seen it already. It's basically about a video game design industry. But they so it's topical. But the guy who was the main character, he's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's driving the car, and this girl is next to him, and she's like, it's how do you expect anyone to, like, how dare you talk down to me when you've had like all this white male privilege your entire life, this and that, and he's just like, well, you're right, but I was able to build this company because when I got lucky enough to be stuck in an elevator with the then CEO of my boss's company, I had an idea, and I told him that idea, and he loved it, and he used that idea and promoted it. Now and in the scene they were stuck in a car, so an identical scene to his story. He looks at the girl and says, "Now you're stuck in the car with me, and I'm the CEO. What's your idea?" And she was just like, And that's when you realize it's not really about anything other than ideas. Ideas are what make companies grow. It's what makes inventions happen. It's everything that fuels business that we can put into one word. So when we bring on all these people, the reason why it's so important for them to be well-rounded is because if they aren't able to come up with new ideas for better strategies on the field in the game, well, maybe they have another idea. RonDo, like you said, is the perfect example of this. Wait, I'm not done here. I have another idea, a podcast. And boom, right away. So the thing with it being running a company like Josh and I is the one who we're answering to is now our sponsors. Now our sponsors are saying, what do you got for us next? Okay, that's great. Perfect. Okay, well, your sales numbers were down. What do you got for us in order to make up for this previous quarter's low sales? We say, hold the phone. We got something up our sleeves that we can take care of. And some of them say, we've dealt with that before with other teams. That's not going to work. And then either we can say, oh, then we're just going to trash that idea. Or we're going to say, yeah, but we aren't other teams. We're going to do it better than they did. And we're going to not make the mistakes that they fell into. And it's going to be a success. So it's balancing which of those judgment calls you kind of have to make and be ready to make when either your sponsor, and it's not always the sponsor is like kind of shitting on you and you're like, oh, you guys aren't working out, but like once in a while it does happen, or when when a player goes haywire, and next thing you know, all the other teams are like, KGK is a bunch of losers or a bunch of poor sports or whatever, and it's like you got to handle that social media crisis, or there's just a lot of moving parts. And then you have almost 40 grown men on a team that are all and mind you, these are athletes. I mean, these people have just as much like energy after a loss or a win as you do when you take your helmet off when you get back into the locker room. I mean, like people are going nuts at these games.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
so many different
how do we manage those emotions? Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Josh.
No.
So yeah. So yeah, I'd probably say like just that balancing act is probably the biggest thing, and coming up with new ideas to keep everybody happy, keep your brand relevant and fresh, and exciting. Say, oh, a podcast! I can't wait to see that. What are they going to do next? And it keeps fans. I mean, when we have like who would have guessed? We have the cosplay community. This one girl loves us in Brazil. She who I never would have expected esports would have a fan base in the cosplay scene. So it's like, oh, okay, well that's interesting. That's an interesting data point, because there's a lot of people. It's like, because you always want to know who your market is, so that way when we're pitching these to our sponsors, we're saying we have this many, these like men in their 20s that love these energy drinks. They're your target market. You're going to want to buy those, or you're going to want to have your logo on the best place to have it on our jersey right here. and alternatively, it's like, oh, what about like graphic design, or what about energy? You know what I'm talking about. So it's just all those things that are equally important, but it's like, where do you give the most amount of attention to, and where do you give the least amount of attention to?
I think it helps that it's now, you guys, like you said, went and branched off to a ton of different games, but now it helps that you guys have been able to narrow it down straight to COD and content creation. I think it makes it easier on you. We're going to open the floor to some questions from the chat. First one, this is from Stay Chill. Will you get KGK Team House?
So we actually did look at real estate in Georgia, which is where our coach was stationed, I believe, temporarily before going back to Hawaii. We're looking at so we looked at these real estate opportunities, and we talked to our sponsors, and we said, if we did do this clout house idea, and we made each room like, all right, this is the Raze Energy studio. This is the Mythic Rabbit, kitchen, and just had that type of structure. Would it be something that people would want to do? And would it be? I'm speaking to the sponsors when I say this. And would it be something that then our players would be down to? Because I mean, it's tough to. We would put it to you guys once we obviously talked to the sponsors, and they said yes, we would fund that. But then we would have to go to the players and say, how many of you guys would want to move out of your parents' house, move out of your apartment, pack your bags and head over there. Because
there's a lot more that goes into that too. I mean, I think
a ton more. Yeah, a ton more. There's a ton of insurance, a ton of liability stuff that we would have to take care of.
Which I feel like too, depending on how many, it's like if you couldn't get people to live there, like if you couldn't get enough people to live there, would you almost use that same idea in like what 100 Thieves does with their compound, where they have the same concept of like, oh, this is this sponsor's area with like you said, the land center. So it'd almost be like a center where you'd have different locations within this commercial real estate building that have that same thing. So it's not necessarily a house, and it's not necessarily people living there.
So that's kind of what I was going to get at, and I was going to let Josh kind of go over. Yeah, that's basically what we ended up finding out, is having a residential house in a residential neighborhood is super risky, and from a business perspective, a lot less profitable than if you were at an actual facility. Because I mean, when you have people living at the house, all right, is there going to be a chef? Is there going to be a budget for food?
I got you.
And then what's the turnover going to be if someone's not pulling their weight and not like making our sponsors happy? All right, are they gone and then another person coming in? Do we need to bring in a manager that knows about clout houses? Who even does that?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the commercial thing is the path of least resistance, I think.
Yeah.
I
So
think one of the biggest things was in regards to what I mean. Obviously, it's an idea. I mean, nothing's finalized. But
no,
one
of
of the
course.
things that I really wanted to incorporate, obviously, into if we did do this, was like having a inside our compound, say, right, having a podcast room where we can have it actually doing like professional cameras, like doing actual real podcast live. So like I want to say like a streaming room almost, like, right. So I want to
Yeah.
be able to have that. I want to be able to have a place where if our creators are in town, we can have a couple creator rooms, right? Like having that, like having people in, right? So having other tournaments, renting the place, if we are having a few computers, right? Having 20, 30 computers where we can have lands, having a stage where we can have those lands where we can host championships and stuff like that. Really just like a cool atmosphere. And it wouldn't just be around COD, it would be around everything, right? So it would be around video games. It wouldn't just be, oh, the COD plays, you know what I mean? So for us, like that's like I said, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, and being able to have that space and being able to get that is going to be ideal. I mean, realistically.
Yeah, I think it'd be dope. Next
Hell
question
yeah.
is KGK gonna make a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so we I think I know what they mean by are they gonna make one? So we do have one. We do have the what I mean by that is we have the URL and all the branding and everything. We do have a KGK channel, but it's not fresh. It hasn't been touched. That
Changing though.
that is changing. So with that KGK stream day idea, I and that's a working title. We can call it whatever we want. I really like that, and I think that our content creators having weekly stream day community thing where they play a random. It doesn't even have to be a professional esports game. It can be anything. Where they all come together, they all do that, and they all kind of make it about themselves, where the audience and the fans kind of get to know them a little bit better. And then we post that. I think we were talking about every Wednesday we post it, and then on Thursday again we start figuring out what we're gonna do for the next week. So I think that is going to be the direction that we take the YouTube channel. Um, obviously there's a special place in our hearts for the COD team, but I think just posting random clips, I think that's been done too many times, and I think that people are, I mean, unless it's obviously something crazy. But highlight clips showing a player's true skill. If people are really interested in watching that, I think they can tune into the live event.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I feel like if
or their own
anything,
personal
COD
channel.
on the COD
Yeah.
side, it could be like maybe like an interview or something, like as far as you'd go into just being COD stuff. But yeah, like I think like having the content stuff or having a place to post these, like stuff that just outside of everything else.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. No. Exactly. And that's definitely going to happen too. So that was a good question.
and Handy Manny asks, any new sponsors you guys are trying to look at?
Wow.
Oh, we're
So
always looking.
yeah. So we
Got to
got
keep your opportunities open.
we have a couple that we're in talks with right now. We're always have our ear to the pavement, always trying to find new sponsors that kind of fit the brand. We I, these are by no means guaranteed.
Yeah.
These are just where sponsors we would like to have. If you're listening, we would like to have you. One of them is Black Rifle Coffee.
Oh my
Um,
God, Nick the Bricks can go crazy.
I know Nick's vouching for that one too.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's one
Another
that
one that I want to see is like microphone or headset. That's like I think is one of the biggest ones that
Yeah.
um
yeah. So if we are able to do something with the land center, I think HyperX could be a company that would fit really well in that space. Um, there was a
I think there's gonna be a lot of talks. Like I think realistically, if and when that does, I think the talks would be around like people. I think it would be with pretty big branding people, because realistically, um, why wouldn't you want your brand getting the free, or I shouldn't say free, getting the free attention when people are walking in. Obviously, it wouldn't be free, but that exposure and that free marketing is huge. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a huge piece of it. And it's, I think, like I said, it's a team. It's not just like it's not just Team KGK. It's going to be multiple brands. I think will be in on it. I think maybe like Bud Light or something, you know, something cool like that.
Could you imagine? Or still
No,
game.
did you see that? Did you see that actually? The CDL opened its sponsorships. It opened it up to beer companies and gambling companies. So I
Really?
think that's going to be a huge piece. Yeah. That's like one of the things like inside our complex. Like what I wanted to do was really incorporate a bar scene, because I think a lot of the age group from 21 to like 30 grew up playing those video games. So I think like incorporating that is pretty cool during those lands. So
And
I
have
think,
some
like I said,
energy
I got a
drinks
lot
for
of
those
ideas.
underage kids too. They can get their little
You get
energy
Red Bull on
drinks.
tap, whatever, you know.
I'm gonna be
Whatever we
seeing
want.
scump on my bottle now, bro.
Oh
Like,
my
just-
goodness. Yeah.
So they asked.
Yeah, no.
We covered that
Yeah.
last week, but Artifact wasn't in here. If you wanted to touch on that, the phase scam that was going on last week with the crypto, we did happen to touch on that one last week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
What was the deal with
realistically, I
that
mean,
one? This
yeah, I
one
mean,
of the players
all right.
made
So
a
basically, what happened? Nah,
unchangeable.
basically, what happened was. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I can hear. My bad, I was talking over you.
we can hear you, Bugs.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I couldn't hear anything. Everything went quiet. My bad. Yeah, no. So basically, what they did was they did they I think they talked up a stock or whatnot that said it was like donations or something going to like help the children or something. It was just like it was bad. Like, and you know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody should be taking advice from somebody that's not doesn't have a license and that, or like this stuff is definitely definitely scary. I mean, people's
Yeah.
lives are at risk. I mean, people invest
Yeah.
stuff from these big streamers. You know what I mean? These big name people that are just they're probably getting paid to do it. You know what I mean? They're probably getting paid to push certain things, and you know, realistically, it's definitely not good. You know what I mean? Nobody should be giving financial advice out
Yeah.
over the computer
They were
ever.
basically throwing it out to get themselves rich. Yeah.
Unless your name is Elon Musk.
Yes.
And
I have a
then-
question.
Yeah, go on. Go
Yes.
ahead. Go ahead.
So, rumor has it that KGK just promoted a specific somebody to an assistant coach level, maybe head coach
Yeah.
level. Can you give us a little bit more details about that?
I wanted to say something. I wanted to go over like positioning, because obviously
Yeah.
we had a lot of changes internally.
Yeah, give
within the
all
past
our
couple
fans the
months.
insight on what's going on with this.
Listen, I'll let you guys in on the scoop. So like basically what happened was like we hired Smurf. Smurf was just doing way too good of a job, so we had to give him a raise. Basically he got promoted, and basically he's in Hawaii living life. I think, Sean, I gave him your credit card number, if that was okay. And then oh, thank you. Then so basically he was like, you know, I'm obviously gotta get some help in there, right? And you know, this is another example where we give people opportunity, right? So I know Jiggy has just been outstanding in the past couple weeks. You know, he's really helped out. Whether it's doing video reviews, whether it's doing hosting, he's in charge of all recruiting now. That guy is just like, you know, he's gone from being on the comp team to now he's still on the comp team. He does sub for them. But that guy, he's actually doing he's doing all of our recruiting. He's our assistant coach with Smurf. He's on the coaching team. We are actually bringing in, hopefully, somebody on the analytics side of things, doing the statistics. If you don't say, basically like, you know, shots, accuracy, things like that. He's going to be really doing the stats, really looking at that, really deep diving into that stuff. So that's going to be, like I said, we have some positions opening for the coaching staff. That was a big one, and then I think another big one was Jiggy and was Jiggy and Dukey. basically, I mean, I'm sorry, RonDo and Dukey stepping up, doing. I don't know why I'm looking over here at the names, saying your name literally wrong. But basically, obviously, stepping up for this podcast, they basically listened. Hey, I personally I saw it in RonDo. Just his personality was like, it was different. It wasn't too serious, and I'm not a serious. I'm a big joker. If people know me, like you never even know if I'm serious or I'm joking. So like, that's like for me, I'm a joker. So like, I see that, and he has a really good personality. So like, one thing that like, I mean, I saw it with Dukey too. Like when what got me was doing the whole computer build thing with you guys. Like that shit was like way too funny. So I was like, you know what? Forget about comp, guys. Like let's do something with your guys' talent. So like here we are, right? So I mean now like we're always ideas. So
And I'm
like
out here casting for everybody.
yeah, so that's the thing. Like so like with RonDo, it's not even just this. It's like he's taken on a role in the media side. Like, hey, listen, we're gonna be doing like I said, podcasting. We're gonna be doing casting. He's gonna be live casting our games. Like he's gonna be live streaming the games, casting over. Hey, just like anybody else in the as a podcasting community, right? So like I think that was a huge piece. I think with Dukey stepping up and helping out with the show, being there, if RonDo can't be, that's a huge piece. Like I said, I just think their personalities it fits the title. I think they're adaptable, and I think that's what you need. I think they're quick thinkers. So like realistically, they can see they know what's good. They're in style. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to.
Would you say Galaxy Brain?
I'm sorry.
Would you say Galaxy Brain? Over under 200 IQ?
I'm gonna say over. Yeah, he's definitely
Big brain plays.
Big brain plays. Yeah.
All I knew is that Doogie guy is amazing. All right, he's
Yeah.
just wonderful.
But
Best
yeah,
I've
so
ever
like
seen.
realistically, those three, Jiggy, Dukey, RonDo. I mean, those guys have been doing awesome behind the scenes. Smacks has taken a role in the captain. He's still a captain, but he's actually running our getting a Warzone team together.
Shout out to Smack.
Shout out to Smack Daddy, dude. That guy is just that
Dude, we
guy
gotta
is
get
OG,
Smack on the
dude.
podcast.
That's what I'm
Facts,
saying. Yeah,
dude.
they were saying it in the
facts.
chat earlier. You
need
gotta
him
get
in
Smack
here.
in here.
I need him in here. But definitely, for sure. He's definitely doing this thing over there in the Warzone scene. He with HG😅, with Kyle K Higgs. I don't know if you guys remember him.
I do.
But Kyle basically helped start this whole thing going. He's been helping us on multiple different roles since the start. Realistically, it's funny how me and him met. It's great. We'll have to get him up in here too, because realistically, I mean, he was one of the founding members too. I mean, he's helping Smacks out over there. Stay Chill and Nick obviously were promoted to captains in a dual role. So they definitely earned those roles, and we got some new players coming in. The offers have been sent out, so I know that we do. So I'll save those, but check the Twitter or the Instagram in a little bit. I know there's gonna be posts going out for some new players. We got
If you're
some
watching,
new
it
players.
could be you.
Hey, facts. You never know. I know we're waiting on some people to come back from vacation to get back in here. So like we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I'm excited.
So hopefully by next week we have like the whole roster set up, and we have a little league or tournament situation set up we can keep you guys updated on.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think we went over our time today because we got the special boys in here. But if there's no other questions, I think we'll go ahead and bring that one to a close. Again, big shouts out to everybody. KGK wouldn't be here without these two guys that you see here today.
Yep.
So just a big closing.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be here
Thank
without
you.
the fans, you know.
Oh yeah.
Got a shout out to the fans.
Any other closing remarks for you guys before we head out?
I also want to mention Jusser.
Oh yeah,
helping on the production side, getting this all together. He built what did he build? The overlay for this?
This overlay you see right here.
I think he's on vacation right now, but Have fun in vacation, bro, and I appreciate you.
Definitely got to get him
Absolutely.
on here as well.
Oh, definitely.
The list goes on for people we'll have. This is why it's gonna be a weekly podcast. We're gonna try and get everybody on here. One more question.
Yeah.
I'll end on this question. Handy Manny asks, is there any esports besides COD? Like I know we talked about narrowing COD, but is there any chance that you guys would think about going to another COD or another gaming title?
Yeah, I mean, like realistically, we've like I said, we've had Fortnite, we've had Rocket League, we've had it's not that we don't want to go into the things, right? Like we don't want to just start like bringing people on. Like we want obviously quality people, right? We have different qualities we want to see. It's not just about bringing the best people on, right? So like if that fits the profile,
Yeah, and also, we as a company, we move with the market. I mean,
right,
we
of course,
obviously,
whatever's profitable.
yeah, I mean, Fortnite's awesome. It's a great game, but
Love Fortnite.
because Epic Games changed the way that the game was played and the frequency of tournaments and things like that,
I think it's coming
it became
back
less
now,
about
though,
esports.
so it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
coming
yeah, yeah.
back.
So,
It's
so you
definitely
never
been
know. So like,
the season's
like
pretty good. So.
if COD does the same thing Fortnite did, or did it become less popular? Like I thought Rogue Company was going to be huge, and then I thought Apex was going to
I
be.
think truthfully though, I think with Battlefield coming out and I
Halo
think with
Infinite?
Halo coming out, oh
Yeah,
Halo,
yeah.
that's
I
what I'm
mean, like,
saying. Hell yeah, Halo
Comp
definitely.
Team
I mean, I
Halo?
could definitely see a Halo team. You know,
I
what I mean?
think Halo's
Halo
gonna
is,
blow up when it comes out. There hasn't been a new one in
Yeah.
so long. I think the comp scene's gonna blow up with that.
bro,
It has
dude.
a
Halo was
possibility.
like OG. Like
Oh yeah.
Halo was like crazy, bro. Like I don't know, man. Halo's got a piece of my heart, dude. You know what I mean? That will always be there. So I that like I could probably walk through the levels still. You know what I mean? Like I love those fucking levels. The Warthog, dude. Like come on, get out of here. Yo, that was like
The most
you just
iconic
get
ending scene you
Sean,
could
you
ever
remember,
Bro.
dude? We would just be up in the gunner seat, just running people over, dude. Like, or like the what was the last level was the craziest. That was like all
Oh
that
yeah,
was
the
always the
best
craziest
one.
level. It was always nuts.
or whatever.
Buns would go
Oh
from
my
League play
god,
to
dude.
Halo
Oh
for hitting
my
people with the energy
god,
sword.
bro. Hell yeah.
Smack, I see you
Hell
in the chat. Get
yeah.
a face cam. We're gonna get you on here one of these weeks.
Oh, what's up,
We
Smack?
gotta get you on here.
Dude, Halo would be actually money.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a
I'll
Halo.
be excited to see that. I've never really seen like Halo competitively,
Oh,
but
it's
I know like
wild. Yeah.
a few people on our team actually like love Halo and play Halo all the time.
There's people
And
like
I know,
Formal. He came from Halo.
yeah,
A couple COD. I think I can't remember who it was. I'm losing his name, but he left Florida Mutineers to go back to Halo. Maniac was a Halo pro. He's with Optic. There's a lot of pros like COD and Halo go hand in hand. There's a lot of people that have
and
gone back and
like
forth.
it,
Yeah.
if Halo does end up like just like skyrocketing and going to the moon, like I won't be surprised when those like players like stream or like go back to it,
Mm-hmm.
and like it just makes it even more popular than what it would already was going to be. Because I mean, especially seeing those old names coming back to a game that they love, is like if Halo like does great, I mean it's gonna go
They
crazy.
just can't
Yeah.
flop. If the game
100%.
flops, they fumble a real
Yeah,
big bag because they could go
Yeah.
huge with this game, but it has to be
Crazy.
good.
Yep. I agree.
All right,
I think
well,
there's gonna be craziness.
go and end on that one. Again, thank you guys so much. Shout out to Artifact and Bones for coming on this week's episode. Can't
Anytime,
thank you
boys.
guys enough. Thank everybody who's in here today. We had a lot of viewers in here today again, so appreciate everyone for
Awesome.
showing out.
Hell yeah.
Catch you guys
Yeah,
next
thank you.
week. KGK all day.
That's right.